At the beginning of each podcast episode, hosts will typically read an ad for another company, but we're going to take this opportunity to promote and plug what we're building. We are building an AI powered app that's going to be your personal mindset coach. Think about it as if you had a therapist in your pocket, one that'll help you get to know who you really are, process your emotions, and make sense of your thoughts. The app launch waitlist is back live and it's on our website. For convenience, we also left a link in the show notes. It's very simple. All you got to do is put your name and email address and you're signed up for the waitlist. So you'll be the first to know when we launch. And also, you'll be the first to be able to actually test it. For now, here's a clip from this week's episode.
So I finally I made the decision to tell my mom and just break down why I was feeling this way.
Yeah.
And she was just like, bueno, but
Bueno.
algo que tú tienes que hacer, but be smart about it. And I remember my mom has always been very supportive of those types of things. And I was happy. It was such a relief. And then I just went all in and different things started happening, and I'm a big believer that when you give yourself to and you open your mind and your heart to the universe or to God and you're like, let's do this, things start to pour in.
I always start with one question, right? It's the word authenticity. You probably hear it all the time. It's a buzzword. But when you hear it, what does it mean to you?
The word authenticity is being your most original self.
Original.
Being secure in who you are without the validation of others. Because I think it takes a long time to really go into fruition and evolve into who you are. This music is we got Joe Budden in the background and I'm trying to pay attention, but I'm yo, it's lit up in here.
Nah, I don't know who playlist it is,
I know,
but it's fire.
I'm wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, being your most authentic self, just really being proud of who you are, not being afraid, being fearless, really embracing who you are, not only as an image, but internally. I think there's so many different things that come out of the word authenticity and who you are.
Do you think you were able to live in that definition growing up?
Oh, no. It took me a while to finally, I think growing up, I don't think when you're young, you're still, trying to experiment who you are. You go through so many different phases, a child, a teenager, this, that, and the other. For me, I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, dope.
So I came to the United States when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Probably knowing 3 words of English. So of course I didn't know who I was coming to this country.
Yeah. I feel like our family also has so many expectations on who we should be.
Right.
And that has a big impact on the early years of who we try to be.
Right.
So what do you think were some of the expectations for you?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, if we're coming here to the United States, it's because we're giving you we want, my mom, made a big sacrifice to give us, the American dream, me and my brother, who's a little bit older than me. But it was always you got to get good grades, you got to grow up to, to be a professional. My father in the Dominican Republic is also he has a master's degree and he's a doctor, and that's a whole thing. I didn't necessarily go down that route, but it was the traditional lawyer, doctor, this, that, and the other. And at one point I did want to be a pediatrician.
But is that what they told you, straight up?
It was these are the great careers. The great thing also with my mom particularly, she was never forced me to be something. It was just be smart about it.
Yeah.
Do something that's gonna make you successful in life, whatever you decide. Obviously, that's always the talk of, you gotta become an executive somewhere or a doctor or a lawyer or this or that. The first thing for them, it wasn't go be a professional dancer, of course. But if you're going to do it right. So yeah, I think that growing up, you got all these things, trying to figure out who you are, exploring new things, what sports you like, what activities you like in school, trying to become friends with people. It's tough being a kid, especially in today's world.
It's tough. And you grew up in Boston?
No, I did not grow up in Boston. Boston is home for me now. Yeah. I've been here now for 15 years or something, 16 years.
Yeah. Where did you grow up though?
I moved around a little bit. So when I first moved to the United States when I was about 5, we lived in New Jersey.
Okay.
And New York. So that's
Shout out to Budden, Joe Budden.
Right. Newark, right? And the perfect song. But that's how I sort of got my East Coast, growing up. I appreciate the Jersey and the New York vibes.
It's so funny that as soon as you say East Coast, you got to pump up your
chest.
Damn,
I got hyped. That is so funny.
Did you even notice you did it?
I didn't.
You were East Coast. I was like, okay. Like you about to start crumping.
Yo, but that New York swag though, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of family in Brooklyn and stuff like that. But then when I got into high school, we moved down to Orlando, Florida, running away from the cold weather. I feel like a lot of people up north do that.
Interesting.
We went to Florida, and I went to high school there for 4 years, where I met some of my like best friends. I was already, a teenager and stuff, and I still can be in touch with a lot of like my good friends from there. Once I graduated from college, we were starting to miss our family a little bit, and I had family here in Boston, in Massachusetts, in Milford, which is about 40 minutes from Boston. We moved up here. Milford is it's cool and everything, but I'm a city girl, so I was always like hustling, like exploring, like where's like all the activities are at, where are the opportunities are at, because I already came from Florida with the intention, okay, well, I'll be closer to New York City, and that's where like all the auditions and things that happen. This is already when I like decided that I wanted to pursue entertainment.
But when did you make that decision?
I think when I wasn't, so I grew up with an artistic family. You know how Dominicans are. We love dance, we love music. And in my family, especially in DR, I have people that just love to dance. My uncles are in bands and stuff. Like
So not just for fun, but like professionally, in the arts and creative fields.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so, but growing up in school, I was always involved in a performing arts activity, whether it was like dance classes, the drama club, or I just loved it. It was like natural. So I started joining like little dance teams with my friends and stuff. We'd be making up choreography. I remember like us being in my living room and like dancing to like Destiny's Child for some talent show or something. So that became like, it's a love that I gained from when I was younger, just being in the arts. Me and my stepsisters would be like in our basements, like recording. When you would just press record, you'll talk into like the old school like boombox, acting like we were on a radio show. So it's funny because now after being an adult and I'm doing all these things on the microphone, I'm like, dang man, like I loved doing this when I was young. So yeah, then.
Do you think, because there's probably at a point where you're young, and I don't know if it was the same for you and your friends, but at some point it's like, oh, this is just fun. You know what I mean? And maybe it's like, oh, this is fun, but like I still gotta step up my game in math and science or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And we're like,
oh,
this is fun, but then you got family or friends be like, no, that's cool, but like, yo, still do all this other thing.
Nah, for sure. It was definitely more for fun when I was younger. It wasn't in my mind yet that I wanted to like be a performer for, a professional performer. Until I got into high school and I was doing more things, and then it was like, we got to start preparing for college. You got to like decide what you want to do. What you really want to major in, and then you got like this itch on the sidelines that's like you got a talent too. So I don't know if you feel this way, but back when I was younger, like mentorship wasn't that big, or at least in my family, it wasn't like a mentor, somebody that I really look up to who's not a family member. That wasn't big around. I wish I had that so that I can learn about more options of life. And I didn't learn about mentorship until, being in this space now as an adult. And so, then I went down, okay, I'm gonna just study business when I go to college, because that's like a general thing that you can plug into anywhere. But even when I graduated.
So when you were like, all right, I'm gonna study business, like, did you even have like something career-wise in business, or you just like, this is good enough for now?
Yeah, and in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna own my own business. Like I always wanted to be my own boss.
You always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't know to what extent, but I like the idea of being my own boss. I know that there was like a bigger thing, that I wanted to be a part of, where I wanted to direct, where I wanted, so just all these things.
What about being your own boss was like really exciting?
I think
or maybe it was the opposite that wasn't exciting. I don't know.
Well, then when I was young, I think the exciting thing for me was like, oh my God, I can make my own money. I can have the control. I could probably put a business up that I really love of something, but I didn't have an exact idea of what it was. And also, I come from a single family. My mom took care of me and my brother for the majority of the time, and I saw my mother working multiple jobs to take care of my brother and I. I'm talking about like day, night, and we've never missed a meal. We always had good clothes on and stuff, and I'm just like, those things motivated me to want to be successful in life so I could take care of my family. You know how it is.
Like you put the pressure on yourself to not only get yourself,
so it's like,
but put on,
while you like have all these big dreams, you're like always thinking about how I'm gonna like take that to be able to take care of mine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm gonna study business because it can like be plugged into anywhere, but I'm not exactly sure what that's gonna be yet.
I had the same thing. Like I didn't So I wanted to study business, but not because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I think my mind told me like banking, but like the only reason for that is because going back to mentorship, I was dating someone at the time, and her brother was in banking, and I was like, oh, he goes to work in a suit. He makes good money. I didn't even know how much money he made. He just looked like he made good money.
Right.
And that's the only reason I went to banking, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna make money.
I definitely worked at a bank too at some point in my life.
Yeah.
Do you think about it now after you're like finally, you know, just like really growing into your own and figuring out what you want to do in life?
Yeah.
How many jobs you went through when you were younger? And you were,
Hell yeah.
I'm like, damn, I did it all. Like,
But that's part of the journey though, because I think one of the best things about like trying all these different jobs is not finding out what you want to do, finding out what you don't want to do.
absolutely. It's a lot of learning moments for sure.
So, so you were going to college and then
now,
like
so now
you
I
studying
decided to go
business.
to college. This is when I was like getting older and I was like really confused about what I wanted to do in life because
you had this itch though, like I have a passion, I know I got
I started
talent.
dancing more and I was like getting hired with my friends with like local artists. And so this is when I was still in Orlando and I'm like, damn, this is kind of fun. And MTV was popping at the time.
Yeah.
You know, BET and all these like really cool shows, you know, in Living Color, like Fly
Yeah.
Girls. And I'm like, wow, man, like this is a thing. This is like a real big deal. It's a thing. So when I moved here, I started
And you said you were getting booked too.
yeah, when
so
I
like
moved
that's
to, when I moved-
validation
yeah,
of like, oh,
when
somebody.
when I moved to Massachusetts, I remembered like Craigslist back in the day.
Okay. Where the story going?
Craigslist.
Where's the story going?
It's not going anywhere wrong, actually, because Craigslist was like the free, I don't know, you know, where you could find auditions and things back in the day.
Oh,
And I
word?
remember-
Okay. You can find anything on Craigslist.
Yeah, I remember seeing an audition. This is when I first moved to here to Milford, Massachusetts, and I was like, I had enrolled in community college and stuff. Also, another thing is like back then, I couldn't afford a 4-year college.
It's expensive.
I couldn't afford to go away to like, you know, a fancy school and stuff. And when I think about people that have experienced that, I think is really freaking dope. Because I would have loved to live on a campus and live that life later on. You know, back
Yeah.
then I was just like, just give me this degree to say I have something, but I'm still not sure exactly, you know? I
yeah.
just know I have this like passion that I really want to pursue. And I started like, I found out about this audition in Boston. This is when nightlife was popping here in Boston.
It's not popping no more?
It is,
Okay.
but there was more entertainment. Like
Okay.
go-go dancers were out performing, and like it felt like a Vegas here. It was lit. And I remember getting a job as a performer, as a dancer, when we had the flyest dancers at all these like dope clubs, and that really sparked like, okay, now I feel like I'm out here like performing. I met some of my best friends, you know, in this industry, this nightlife industry. And I remember still living at home. I would drive 45 minutes to Boston to work nightlife, and I would be done there at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Come home, go to a job at the time. I don't even remember which job I had, but it was always like having a job and then trying to like hustle with you know, trying to
Yeah.
pursue your dreams and stuff, and going to school.
So like, but you pursuing, like that was the fun part.
Pursuing my dreams.
Like the because it sounds like, right, you had a job, and then the after job was the other job, and that was the part that was like fun for you.
It was fun, but it was a hustle.
Oh, for sure.
I was tired.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could not live that life now. I like my sleep. I'm like working nightlife, working until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm coming home to wake up at 7 in the morning
Yeah.
to like work retail at the time because that was the most flexible thing that I could do.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, a manager and stuff on site of retail, and retail is like 7 days a week. There was just like no balance. But I was young, I had the energy. And then I started like, you know, me and my friends would drive to New York to audition for like actual backup dancing jobs. And we'd go out there to, you know, to take classes and this and that. And we'd get back on the road to get to work the next day at 9 a.m. And it was just like, it was a hustle because we were chasing a dream. So it's like you learn so much of like this, how you want to chase something that you love. And you're not thinking smart. Not smart, because right now it's like, I love the term, work harder. Wait, what is it?
Work smarter, not harder. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, why are we like on 2 hours of sleep and not being able to function at our jobs and still not making enough money?
Yeah.
So a lot of that happened, but it was I loved, those are my young like years. Then I decided, I remember at one point I was like, I wanted to take a pause on school because I wasn't like fully giving myself to it.
Was that a difficult decision?
It was a very difficult decision because I had to tell my mom.
Right.
And I was
And
like,
because the worst thing that we think about is disappointing them.
yeah, I didn't want to disappoint my mother, and I was like very frustrated and conflicted,
What
of
were you
like,
conflicted about?
I was conflicted of if I wanted to take like the decision of like dropping out at the moment, pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
or like I'll come back in another semester. I'm like, I'm in school just to be there, right now.
And the time that you were going to school, you could have been using it to
Right.
do auditions, to
Right.
practice, to
Right.
refine your craft, all that kind of stuff.
Right. That's exactly what my mind was at. And it was very difficult. So I finally I made the decision like tell my mom and just like break down why I was feeling this way.
Yeah.
And she was just like, bueno, but
Bueno.
a lo que tú tienes que hacer, but like be smart about it. And I remember like my mom has always been very like supportive of those types of things. And I was happy. It was such a relief. And then I just went all in and different things started happening, and I'm a big believer that when you give yourself to like, and you open your mind and your heart to the universe or to God, and you're like, let's do this, things start to pour in.
What was an opportunity that you got that you were like, oh, like this shit is starting to pay off?
Yeah, well, after driving to New York and being on sleepless nights and stuff and broke,
Yeah.
I remember booking my first audition. Which was for R&B singer Joe back in the day. Are you into
Okay.
R&B?
Hell yeah.
Because I don't know, he's a little, a little old school, so only millennials know about him.
He's an icon, bro. That's a classic.
And I remember booking the audition. I was like, oh my God, I'm about to go on tour with Joe. And I remember I booked a gig for a New Year's Eve. I forget what year it was, but we flew to Africa.
Where in Africa?
Mozambique.
Oh, so you went on tour with him?
Yeah.
As a dancer?
Yeah, as a dancer. And I was like,
how many other dancers were there?
It was three of us, three dancers.
Wow.
Three dancers, yeah. I remember it was a great experience that we got to travel to a lot of different places. Mozambique was the first show, and I was just like, oh shit, I just
That was the first show?
First show at a New Year's Eve in Mozambique. Never been probably, that was the farthest I've been overseas at the time. And it was like a 14-hour flight, and I was just like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, I really booked it. So, see, Mom, I told you that this. So it was a great experience. I got to do that, and then I started doing more of it and other opportunities. I remember the last time the production finished probably a year or two after, with traveling to different places. And the last gig that I could not do with him was because I was still not an American citizen.
Interesting.
And I needed a visa to go to London the next day. There was a last minute booking thing, and I couldn't get a visa on time. It broke my heart, yo. I cried so much that I couldn't go. I became a U.S. citizen later on.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you, thank you. But I had my green card and stuff, but that was a moment I was just like, nah, I gotta get this damn citizenship because this shit ain't about to fuck up my money.
What is it like? Being you said you worked with three other dancers, right? So in my mind I'm like, oh, that's your team.
Yeah.
Right, obviously Joe as well. Is there a sense of and that was your first that
was my first
big
one, yeah.
moment gig? Was there a sense of comparison? Did you feel like an imposter? Were
Yeah,
you nervous?
yeah,
Tell me about just all those emotions.
Yeah, well, for me, those two other girls, they had a resume.
That's what I was saying.
They had a resume. They're fire as dancers from New York, which I admire, and
there's that other part of oh, they're from New York. A lot of people put certain cities on a pedestal.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it takes a level of training and to be an elite dancer. Mm-hmm. And I was good, but I didn't put in enough work to be there, straight up. Yeah. But I learned a lot from them. For me, it was well, you here, you better act like you one of the best. I couldn't hold back. If I had made it that far, I can't sit there and make myself small because of other people. I'm gonna try to show up, and I'll deal with my emotions when I'm in a closed room in my hotel room or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But how did you get to that point where you were just I'm here for a reason, duh.
Right.
Let me just show out.
I think we would go to rehearsals. I became really good friends with them, and then we did our first show, and I was like, I did it. I because leading, you're good, but there's always this self-doubt of, are you good enough, or all these things that go through your head, and then when it happens, you're like, why did you doubt yourself in the first place?
So it's you have all the self-doubt until you hit the performance, the stage, etc. And once you're there, you're just oh, I'm killing it.
And it's a feeling it's an indescribable feeling. I'm in another country in freaking Africa on a damn stage with a global artist that my mom loves too. I'm like, Mom, remember when he was singing that song? Things like that. And so that feels good in general,
Was it also a sense of like, because not only is it a moment for you, but maybe people that in like a subtle way doubted you or had like, are you sure you want to
Yeah.
drop out? Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Like was it a moment of like, yo,
Totally. I definitely had to lie to my dad in DR that I was no longer in college because
no way.
he don't get down with the entertainment stuff. But you know how it is with
Yeah.
Dominican, very strict parents. So when I was doing it, that was like I'm proving everybody wrong, including myself, that it's okay to take on this route. You know, like school is always gonna be there, and I didn't want to like pursue my dreams and all these things. I wanted to like use my youthful energy while I could, you know. So it definitely felt good to like validate that I could do this. And then of course nothing's forever, so that happened, and then I just continued to like go on auditions for things. Some things I didn't book, some things I did. Rejection was huge, and then I would be like on these tours for like a year or two, you know, every certain amount of months, whatever. And I would have to have jobs in between.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd have to, I'm like, okay, well, I have all this, I still have like some experience of like my business, you know, when I was in school, so I'd work in offices, retail, because I was flexible and stuff. But I always like, nah, I gotta make it. I gotta figure something out because I hate being in this office right now.
Tell me about being in the office. Like what? Yeah, like I wanna think about the comparison between like office culture to like being on tour. You know what I mean? Like
such a double life. I definitely felt like I lived a double life.
Did anyone in the office know about your other?
No. I think more things of that started happening at a later time in my journey.
Yeah.
When I was doing things that were being recognized in Boston, I wouldn't talk about it in like the office setting, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I started
But people would just find out about it.
Yeah, people would just find out.
Oh
People would literally just find out about it. But
and you were like, yo, I thought you was doing laundry all weekend.
That is so funny.
Shorty on the front page of Boston Globe and shit.
No, that actually happened.
I know, I'm sure it did.
That actually happened. That's so funny you said that. That actually happened, and that was later on. But you know, I started with like working retail because it was flexible, but then that gets tiring too. I'm like, I don't want to be working on Sundays.
What did you?
So then, I wanted to take a break from retail.
Wait, how did you show up, like aesthetically, to your retail job?
Right, because it's like retail is one thing, and then like corporate stuff is another one.
Because you did like banking and stuff for a little bit.
Yeah. No, retail was cool. It was chill. You know, I worked at like a bunch of different brands, Theory. I worked at True Religion. So you would just show up at whatever it was. So it was more chill because it was still quote a little bit casual. But when you have management jobs, there's still like requirements of sales, and you have to manage a team and all that. You know, so that was another thing. Is like I always enjoyed people and managing people. I could
see you being an extrovert. Yeah, right?
An extrovert?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a mix of both.
Okay.
Definitely come off as an extrovert to start off. I think just because I'm an outgoing person. But sometimes I do have my moments where I just want to be an introvert, and like it depends on the energy. Like that's how much like comes out of me. But
yeah, all right. So you did retail, but then when you get into
then
corporate,
retail, then I booked this one of the best jobs, and I went on tour with this rock artist. His name is Elvis Costello. And at the moment, this is when I was working my last retail job that I never went back to. I got the gig through a friend because I was still dancing and doing other stuff. And Elvis Costello is a legend. Like he is a global icon, you know, very old school though. You know, our parents probably loved him a lot. And he came to Boston and they were looking for a dancer. So I remember one of my girls who was my boss at the time for some dancing stuff. She's like, they need a dancer. Can you just show up and like do this gig real quick? I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. Like, I'm tired. I'm like, I get out of work at 5. There's gonna be traffic. I'll just show up. So I went to like their set rehearsal, and they're like, oh my God, you did so good. We hit it off. It was a great time. Long story short, they asked me to go on tour with them from there. They're like, we're finishing our U.S. tour. We're gonna go to New York and do a dope concert over there with like Questlove and all these guys. You know, so it was like. I'm like, oh shit, okay, so this is a thing. And I went, and then we did a global tour. So, and then I quit my retail job. I was like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Deuces. So I left that, and I did that with him probably like 3 years on and off. Finally, when his production was over, that's when I had to come back home and like, oh shit, I need a job now. Like I need to make money. We got bills at the end of the day to pay.
Sure.
And I went started working more office, like more corporate stuff, because I felt like I just wanted to have a salary. I wanted consistent money. I'm tired of like living paycheck to paycheck and all this stuff. So this was in my late 20s. I had already kind of like experienced a lot of the things that I wanted to do, and I also went back to school. Because I just owed that to myself.
Yeah.
I
And like you
owed-
said, you could always go back. It's always there.
I owed that to myself, and I got my degree, and I felt
Congrats,
good.
congrats.
I was like, yo, Mom, here, I told you I was going to get this
Yeah.
at some point.
Did you do it for yourself or for your mom?
A mix of both.
Okay.
A mix of both for sure. A mix of both for sure.
I mean, even like when you aren't on the road and you want to get a job either way, I'm sure it helps.
Yeah,
To
for
just
sure.
have that, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's good that I can always back it up.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I started getting these jobs, and this is when I was sort of like, okay, this is when I'm going to live this quote double life of
Yeah.
doing things, and I'm going to go into these spaces. I'm like, I don't want to have to put my hair in a bun.
Tell me about that. Like, wait, what was your first day fit in corporate?
Well, you know how it is, suit,
Yeah.
button down shirt under, black and white. You know what I'm saying? Hair picked up. That's when I was trying to realize that people are ready for this image.
That you didn't know that people were ready?
I didn't know if people were ready for this type of image, this type of hair work, walking into a corporate space. Because I know that my look fits a certain environment back then, not anymore now, because I'm more confident. But then I was like, for them to accept me, I can't go in there and try to take over without like exploring first what it is. But it was very intimidating. It was very like, I have to put on this suit, with my resume so I can get hired.
Yeah.
So I have to push my hair back. So I did something like that for a little bit. I didn't like it. I got out of that. Then I was like, okay, I really want to like start doing more stuff in Boston.
How do you think you were received though?
I was received, well.
Okay.
I think that thank God till today, I've never experienced in the corporate setting somewhere where I was like mistreated.
Like the microaggressions,
Yeah,
the racism, those
but
kind of
I
things.
definitely just didn't feel like myself. Like I knew
Yeah.
that
Like
I was.
you just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just knew that I was doing that because of financial reasons, and I
Right,
needed,
right.
not because that's the space that I want to spend the rest of my life at.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the back to living the double life and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Wait, so in what ways did you say
Yeah.
you lived a double life? Like you would lie about your weekends?
Yeah, so no, literally. So like, then another corporate job, which I was like, okay, if I'm gonna work in an office setting, then I started learning about all these like cool industries and incredible brands and stuff. This is the thing, when I was younger, I didn't know about marketing and that you could work for like a cool sneaker brand.
Yeah. Or like a tech company or some shit.
Yeah, and still be doing, a
same
corporate
thing.
job and dressed casual. Like
Yeah.
things have changed so much from what I thought what corporate was when I was younger. Of like, I thought you had to be suited up 24/7 and all these different things. So
But to your point, like you don't know what you don't know, and like if you don't have those mentors or just like friends that will, because like even if you have mentors, but you only have mentors in like I'm making this up in finance,
Yep.
then like you don't even know that you could work at I'm just making this up Complex or Nike
Totally.
or all these other things.
100%.
Yeah.
Still doing a lot of these things.
The
like,
same stuff.
Yeah.
Like you could do human resources, for example, at like
I was
all
thinking
of
about
these
the same
different
thing.
companies. You know what I mean?
So
talking
then
about-
I got an opportunity to work at an architect company. I was like, design. This feels a little bit more like, I'm a creative person deep at heart. So wherever you put me, I just need to be doing something that relates.
Same.
So I was like, okay, design, this is pretty cool. And I applied to be the executive assistant to the owners. So I was like, that feels a little bit more in my alley versus, something else. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna still put on like a professional, fit, but I'm not gonna tie my hair up. I want my hair to be out. Still subtle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to go in there and say, this is who I am. This is after I like toured and stuff, and I was going back into like the corporate space. I just wanted to be like a little bit right. And I walked in there and they received me well. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's what's up. Some other ones from the past did not play that. And that felt good that I could still wear my hair out. And I'm a person who knows how to behave in spaces. So like, of course, I always held myself professional. I did an incredible job, and they liked me for that. So once, it was funny because at this time I was also getting more transitioning into fitness. I was also from a fitness background and helping grow a boutique fitness company at the time. So all these things are happening in the city of Boston, and literally my boss would be like, what are you doing this weekend? I didn't want to like mix the two too much. And I was like, yeah, I just have to like go to California for something really quick. And I wouldn't get into it. So, I remember they'd be like, And then literally after I left that company for transitioning into to do that full time then, they're like, Melissa, we just saw you in the Boston Globe, literally front cover of an event we did. And they emailed me about it. And I was just like, damn, that's crazy. My bosses used to always like figure out what I, did and stuff. And they're like watching me in a publication.
Well, how did that feel though? Because like you were trying to like actively hide it for so long. Like,
Yeah.
was it?
It was exciting for me because I was like,
Interesting.
that feels nice to be like, but I mean, I don't like to mix it. I know I was there for I was an employee at the end of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
so I'm not trying to even be there.
Tell me about the stories that you probably told yourself about like, oh, if they see me, I don't know, in this thing, I'm gonna be perceived as this, or I'm gonna get fired, or whatever. Even
I
your
just didn't
hair,
want to mix the two.
even your hair though, like, what was the like? What did you tell yourself about like, I need to do this?
Right.
Because if not, if I let it out, they're gonna do X, Y.
Yeah, they might, everybody's in as a professional, they are like top tier architects or just in general in other like corporate workspaces. These are like, C-level like executives.
And you're
you know what I'm
comparing
saying?
yourself.
And I'm comparing like, damn, do I belong here? But look, I'm here to do my job, so whatever. So definitely, a lot of things definitely ran through my mind of that. I didn't want to be judged because of the way I looked.
Yeah.
Because of my hair, because, I'm dark skinned,
Yeah.
because I may have a little accent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be respected and that I could do the job as well as any other person in this space.
Yeah.
So I was like a lot of battle of that. And then when I would get out, I'd be like, take this damn hair out. And I'm like, oh, God.
And eventually, I'm sure it just got exhausting.
It was tiring. It was tiring.
At least, like you literally, you said double life. Like, you know how tiring one life is? Imagine living two at the same time.
Yeah.
Of course, like you're just like, yo, eventually you're just like, yo, fuck this.
Yeah, and I definitely got there. I definitely got to the fuck this time. And I remember working there for about 3 years in that company. And I actually did enjoy it there because they were like a little bit laid back, but I still didn't want to mix too much. And they did a big layoff. And they laid me off, and I was like, damn, what am I going to do?
Because I remember the first time I got laid off, and I'm sure it wasn't because of performance. They just like were restructuring and they were moving shit around.
Yeah, they were doing a whole reorg
but it still hits because you still start to, at least me.
And I had never gotten let go of a job, so that for me was like, oh shit. I had to tell myself, you're not being fired, you're not being fired, you're not being fired.
You gotta like remind yourself and like, what are the positive affirmations? Like, no, it's not me, it's not me.
Yeah. And I'm a person that has always lived, I need security of some sort.
I get it.
Coming from where I come from. I just can't be out here waiting for shit to come to me. But at the moment, because I was also working on a project outside of that, the project was moving up, and it was like a sign from God anyways. Like everything happens for a reason. Like it happened right when it needed to happen. And so I was sad about it. I remember crying about it. I was like, what am I going to do without a solid salary right now? Because, this other project is still, being developed or whatever. And I said, I'm going to take a risk. And it's perfect because we needed somebody full time to oversee things or whatever. So it all worked out. It was a little frightening, but I just worked a little bit harder on that. And ever since then, I still have not gone to back to a corporate job. I mean, never say never. But I've learned so much, I really learned what it's like to be an entrepreneur and what it's like to build a business. It ain't easy at all. It ain't easy, but a lot of great things come out of it. And you really start to become like your full self. You really start to develop who you want to be. And working in the health and wellness space for many years, I also realized that there's a certain type of lifestyle that I want to live and how I want to feel that I never want to go back to. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing, if I can't be my full self in spaces, then maybe that's not where I need to be. And I think that we try to force this for so many years because that's what we've been conditioned to do, as if we don't have any other options.
Yes.
And that's tough.
But what was that moment for you where you just, like that fucking moment? Was it the layoff?
The layoff was one of them.
Because
I think actually the layoff was not the fucking moment. The layoff was like, I got laid off and you ain't got no choice. So you're just gonna like continue to build what you're already doing on the sidelines and make that happen. So that was cool. And that turned out into something really dope. But a year ago, I resigned from that employer. And that's when I said, fuck it. That's when I said, fuck it. This is all about you right now. And you're going to go do what you need to do.
What was it like?
I think when you have experienced so many different things in a space, right? Ups, downs, great things, and you just get to a point where you really are like, you start to build a little bit more confidence. You've experienced things that don't make you feel good. You know, you learned more. You're starting to feel stronger as an individual. And you're like, there's some God-given talents that you're not using right now. There are some,
Not using enough.
Enough, exactly.
Yeah,
You're not
'cause you're using
enough.
them.
Right. But not to the extent
Yeah.
that you need to. And of course, those decisions weren't, I didn't do those decisions alone, you know. I have a great circle of, my village is super strong. I love the people in my circle, all the way from my mom to my best friends and people that I admire that are doing really great stuff in different industries and whatnot. And those people have been inspired to be, you know, more and go to the level where I need to.
That's dope.
You know, when I left that, I was just like, all right. It was an unexpected decision that I just really needed to move to like the next step for my own well-being.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna be doing this, and if you said fuck it, you gotta act upon it. Like, you gotta make it happen. I started like really acting like, in my mind, like I had already made it.
Yeah.
Because your mentality and how you carry yourself in spaces, like if you don't tell yourself that you are already, you know, that big boss that you want to be or whatever.
Oh.
I just be like, I know I'm that bitch, so I'm like, you know, like I still have so much to do. I have so much to accomplish that I want to now that I've like gotten to a certain level. But you really got to carry yourself and have faith and like know that you could do this, because it ain't for the weak.
That might be the name of this episode. I'm that bitch.
Man, I try. Look, I still got a long way to go.
Do you remind yourself every morning? Like, do you do positive
Absolutely.
affirmations? Like,
Oh, I'm big on positive. My friends know I'm big on positive affirmations.
what do you write them down? Do you say it out loud? What do you do?
Yep. I have positive affirmations on sticky notes all over my mirror in my bathroom.
Really?
So when I wake up, I'm about to brush, wash my face and all that. I'm like, take a minute to really remind myself, like, of all the work and all the sacrifices that you have done, and why you are here. To really, you know, we've been through so much, and like we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes.
No.
Because
We're
we're
so
still
hard
we're
on
still
ourselves.
like
The
trying
hustle
to-
shit that we were talking about before.
Yo, grind. What is it? What do you call it? The grind mode is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the grind culture is a lot.
When did you start getting like a healthier detachment from? Because you still hustling, you still working, but it sounds like recently you started doing a little bit more. Let's call it balance.
Yeah, I started doing more of that probably like about 2 years ago, when I was finding myself that I was like completely lost in work. When
What
I
do you
found that
mean,
I was
lost in work?
completely just like giving my all to an idea that wasn't fully mine. You know, it was fun. I felt like I was a big part of it,
Right.
of the impact. But I was also forgetting about the other things that I wanted to do for me, like all my other talents, right? Like, you know, when you're growing a business and you're in the middle of so many things that happen, you know, you get lost. You know, there's sleepless nights. And it's just like, I'm tired. How can you show up for people when you're not even well
Yeah.
yourself? And so, you know, just taking little things from different experiences throughout my journey in my life. I just don't want to live in chaos. I want to live a peaceful life, and I also want to get buddies. So that's where it gets like, oh man. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even now, like once I went out into my own and I started doing things on my own, in my head I had to say, hey, you know, you had to take a pay cut, but like your piece is worth so much more. Your piece is worth so much more. And I think that even still having like a very like challenging work experience, like that you got to make the time. Like I'm very, you know how you got the app thing for the block of Instagram? I'm very like, no, from this time to this time, I have to like schedule
Me too, yeah.
things in my calendar so I don't do it. And I'm lucky right now that I don't have responsibilities on Monday, and I love it. I love not having to like wake up and go. I wake up early. I'm a person like that, but I love being able to handle my own schedule. I love being able to make my own schedule. I love being able to say no when something doesn't feel good in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, we just said what I say, like my 2-year anniversary of quitting. Like,
Congratulations.
that's one of my
Cheers to that.
Thank you. But that's one of my favorite things is I get to schedule my week however I want.
It's just so
It's fucking
different.
beautiful.
And now a lot of
And
people
you-
don't get that opportunity, and I get it. But I
Yeah.
think even when you have to work in a corporate setting or for a company or someone, it is our responsibility as humans to have those boundaries of how we want to feel and how we want to live our
Yeah.
life.
But one of the things that I want to teach people is like a lot of us don't even know how to set the boundaries with ourselves, but also don't even know how to communicate them to other people.
That's the part.
Yeah, because we're scared of
That's-
like
oof.
getting fired. Because also we put these companies on a pedestal that like we're like, no, girl, you know how, like you know how good it felt to be like, I work at TikTok. You know, I was insecure for a long time to say that I worked for myself. Although it's such a powerful thing, I was insecure about it.
And most of
And
the
now I'm
time,
more
you don't even know
confident.
that there's such a toxic culture behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
yeah. But we're just so proud of putting a name next to it,
Yeah.
saying that yeah.
That one.
Yo,
yeah.
you said something also, speaking of like quitting, that it took me like, like I heard people say it and I'm just like, fuck out of here, right? It's the, you said something about like taking a pay cut was like, it's almost like, like your piece is not worth it, some shit like that, right?
Yeah,
But I would
mine
always
ain't
see,
easy.
I would always see these memes and I'm like, fuck that, give me the money. I'm good. Like money, no, the money can't buy happiness, right? That was the
Right.
thing. And I was like, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Give me the money. I'll buy my happiness.
You know what's funny is that when we actually like take the pay cut and we're like, oh, this, I feel so much better, blah blah blah. And then you gotta tell like, damn, money, $1 million would be nice right now, but
It's a balance. Yeah. It's a balance.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It definitely is a balance, and like, you really gotta be strong-minded, man.
Yeah.
I like right now I feel in such like a better space
Yeah.
where I could like I'm a testimony to that. But it's like I'm giving myself time and space to do the things that I really love, that where I can really go in and shine and be myself. You know what I'm saying? And I know that there's really great things to come. Like
Of course.
now it feels like the beginning, as I'm sure you feel, going into this new entrepreneurship journey and whatnot. And it's funny that you said about like being so proud to work for this title and this brand. And it's like, it's fun in the beginning, but then there's some times where you're like, what are we even doing?
Yeah.
What are we even doing? You know what I'm saying? I love my sleep now. When I was in my early 20s working like, a million jobs and stuff, and I'd sleep 3 hours, I'm like, I know. I don't play with my self-care. I like sleeping. I wake up early. I like to be, energized. I like to move, like all these things. And I still want to be able to empower people.
You said something, I forget what you said exactly, but I think you gotta have like the right mindset. You said, and it brought me to this idea of like you being on TV these days. Like, is that, like I found you on Instagram, right? And I think you were like interviewing somebody and I was like, yo, the fit is fitting. Like she got the swag, and I'm just like, I want to be able to like show her to other people.
Thank you.
So that they could be like, oh, I could do that because she does it, right? But I've spoken to other friends who are on TV and instead of dressing how they want to dress or feeling comfortable and all those kind of things, they feel the complete pressure to do the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It
Right?
depends. It's
Yeah.
not the same. Every industry and every space is different.
Yeah.
I've been very privileged.
But there's
so
a lot of,
far.
but you're being seen, but like, you don't have like, you feel a little anxiety and
Yeah,
pressure to be like,
yeah.
how are
So-
people going to receive me? How I
Totally.
show up?
I definitely felt that. Like for example, when I first got the opportunity to work with the Celtics, I think first of all I'm the first Afro-Latina to be in that role, which I always like to. Okay. and I always say that with very proud because like it's a big deal here in Boston, which
Of
we
course,
know
of course.
the history here and whatnot, and to have like little brown girls, black and brown girls, be like excited that I'm doing something that they never even saw themselves doing. That to me is like the most rewarding thing, and I wanna. That's a big part of my mission is to like.
Yeah, you're giving
Let
them
people
permission
know
almost.
that
Yeah.
you can be whatever you want, no matter the obstacles. Like, especially now for our youth, they really need us. They really need mentorship. They really need people like you and myself, letting them know that you can do this, right? So imagine if they have the resources that we have now, starting at an early age. I tell myself that all the time, but I'm
Just
thankful for
yeah.
my experiences. Like, they could do it. They can do it. So, so that to me is a huge like accomplishment just off that. And when I came in, I was able to be myself. I was like, okay, so what's the? I mean, obviously my
You were like, what's
things
the
have
wardrobe?
elevated.
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
in the first day, kind of like cute, but I mean, I like fashion in general. So in and off the court, that's just like my vibe. But that I love it. I have fun with it. I'm like, I'm gonna wear this because like I'm just gonna have fun with it.
But you were like a little skeptical at first.
Yeah,
like,
for
yeah,
sure,
of
for
course,
sure, for sure. I wasn't sure, and then I'm like, people are like receiving me,
Yeah.
and then I would try like little like more like over the top stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
literally how I dress, but people were like excited about it, and then I
Interesting.
created my own identity and my own like image of. They know that I'm gonna come in with some type of fit,
Yeah.
something fun, and
Yeah.
my hair is out, and it's just a certain energy that I bring.
Yeah.
That's really fun and it feels good.
That's really dope. That because I was gonna ask you that, you kind of alluded to it. It's like the feedback. Like, what sort of feedback do you get from people that look like you and when they see you?
Same, that they're really proud that, to see a lot of parents
Really?
have reached out and said thank you for representing, because representation does matter.
That's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
beautiful.
so I've gotten a lot of that. It's really cool meeting when I get the opportunity to go to schools, different schools, to speak to like the younger generation and different local organization. And that's giving back to and building communities and connection has always been something that I've done just naturally. And so even in the past year, I've been wanting to do more of that because that's like, I always want to lead with a mission of giving back. And so like, even recently, I went to a school in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Have you know Lawrence?
No, but I know.
Big popular Dominican community out there.
What's the other one? Lawrence and
Lowell. They're like right next to each other.
Wasn't there another one?
What, like with a big Dominican community? There's a Dorchester has
Oh,
one.
JP, right? JP as well.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we're
We're
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, we fertile.
Yeah. So I went to Lawrence with Al Horford, who's also Dominican.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was such a great feeling. These kids were literally yelling out of their, like, they were so excited.
You would have thought Barack was there.
When we went in there, and I'm like, hola, ¿cómo están? They went crazy when they heard me speak Spanish. And that to me was like such a moment of, oh my God, like it just brought so much joy to my heart to see these kids being super excited. Obviously, I'm over here standing next to like one of the most incredible Dominican basketball players in the league.
Yeah.
So that to me was like, yo, like this is dope. And kids were like fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
So it felt good to me being able to speak in Spanish to them so they can understand what we were saying and to still inspire them as well as everybody else. So things like that, those are like really great moments for me.
You know what's crazy? It comes full circle because I think when a lot of people think of sports, they often think of the players.
Yeah.
Yet there are so many opportunities within the sports industry, within the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
But you said this earlier, like, I didn't have mentors growing up. I didn't know that certain industries and opportunities existed because I didn't see people that look like me or I didn't even know about them, right?
Right.
Look at you now. You are now the representation for someone else, even in that school, to be like, wait, I thought the Celtics only had 14 employees, which was the team, the coach, whatever. And they're like, oh, wait,
and
I could potentially work with the team. And
it's great. It's great. And it consists of a lot of different departments who are making the whole experience happen.
Mad people.
And I am inspired by so many different people in that organization. The women, the men, like it's just is really great. And I hope that everybody in there does get their flowers and like knows how much they're doing, just like any other organization. But it feels good to be able to inspire people or just be in spaces where I could be inspired. Because that's also what my mind is at right now. Like I don't want to be in places where I feel unwanted, where I have fear, where I have a fear of not being myself, and where I'm not inspired. That goes with like relationships of not only work but just in general. I'm being very intentional about every single thing in my life. The company I keep around me, from my own personal self-care. It's just like the healing journey takes forever, but we must take like important steps to be able to like get to a certain like moment of feeling our best selves.
I love that. And speaking of inspiration, the last question.
We can talk here for hours, and I've been talking.
Yeah.
I didn't even let you ask me more questions.
No, this is perfect. I got all the questions out. I got everything out. We good. But speaking of inspiration, like, obviously you said like we're not done growing, right? We continue to work on ourselves. Like, what inspires you to continue being your most authentic self in these spaces?
What inspires me? Well, first of all, my family. I don't know. I always go back to my mom because that's like my girl right there.
Shout out to mom.
Shout outs to mommy at home. And I just want to one day like just give her the world. So that's that. But aside from that,
My mom watches all these episodes too.
Yeah.
So shout out to my mom too. Yeah.
shout out to Papa's mom.
She listens every Saturday on
Good
YouTube.
for her.
Yeah.
We love that. We love that. Oh, just that's such a great moment when you could just have your family support you. That is a very special thing.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think that I owe it to myself. Like I know that I've come. You know, it's like what Kim Kardashian said. I didn't come this far to come this far.
She said that?
Yeah, that's what that.
That was her bar?
That was her bar. That's why it's on Drake's song. I didn't come this far to go this far. Yep.
Damn, Kim.
Yeah, that was her. But anyways, Kim
Okay.
Kardashian is a boss, but she's not my main inspiration. But whatever. Can't hate on Kim Kardashian at all, ever. Anyways, I owe it to myself because I've done so much, and I know that I'm not done yet. So there's still things that I want to like keep going. And to try to accomplish that I know it's just like there. And so I want to keep inspiring people. I just want to make sure that anything I do in my career, that someone is being inspired, because that's what truly fills my heart.
I love it.
Mi gente, that wraps up another episode of the Can't Do It podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please do us a favor. Like, share, comment wherever you're listening to this episode. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave us a rating and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you, and see you next time.